What's happening, legends? Welcome back to the Becoming Reborn podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about getting results in health, fitness, business, and even your personal life. And I'm joined by none other than D Wagnalls. What's happening, D Wags?
Good to be here, Trav. Very excited to talk about this topic, mate.
Yeah.
Super excited to talk about results because, as you and I both know, results come in many, many different shapes and forms. Don't
Yes, they certainly do. And just a bit more context, D Wags is our head of programming here, so he knows all about results. All right, big boy, this is your podcast, so take it away and let's get into it.
Well, I guess the first thing I want to talk about is, I just want to define what results are, right? Because I guess for everyone that's coming to the gym or any gym for that matter, generally people are there for an outcome of some sort. But then if we actually broaden that scope to, health in general, career and business, personal goals in your personal life, like results, as we said, can come in many different shapes and forms. So I guess just wanting to define results, I'd love to hear what your perspective is on what that looks like.
Well, there's so many different ways to get results, and I think the easiest way is always to put numbers on it, so there's some sort of metric towards it. But I think people can also get caught up in the numbers, in specifically when it comes to body results.
Yeah.
When people are really hung up on what the scales say.
Yeah.
When the real results along the way are so different, right? So imagine someone's been coming to the gym for 2 months. Before that, they're doing limited steps per day. They were very rarely active. They were coming maybe once, twice a week, and then they chose to make some changes. And then for the next 2 months, they were coming 3 times a week. They were getting up early. They were getting more steps in. They were making better food choices. But after 2 months, the results on the scales didn't necessarily reflect the effort that they put in, and then they get down and they throw their hands in the air and they throw it away.
100%.
Now, what I'd like to reflect on is look at the consistency that they've completed over the last 2 months. They're hitting those 3 or 4 sessions a week. Their steps are higher in their average. Those things they're the big wins, because if you consistently do those over a long term, that's where more physical results will come. Yeah. But more importantly, which we've touched on before this podcast, is the confidence you start getting within yourself. And that's developed from the self-discipline that you've shown over those 2 months. So I think people, they expect too much too quickly in terms of physical results, and then they put all their eggs in that basket and not looking at all the other things that they've achieved along the way. And then they go, well, I didn't hit the target, so I'm just going to go back to what I was doing before.
Yeah. I've got so many quotes running through my head right now, but one that stands out in particular with what you just said is people overestimate what they can do in a month and underestimate what they can do in a year.
Yeah.
And, I think the biggest, marker of success, as you said, is not necessarily, it's important to have numbers and metrics on an outcome, but I personally think that the biggest reflection of success and results is actually shifts in behavior.
Yes.
Right. So as you said, I'll take me, for example, at the moment. I'm going through and documenting my own weight loss journey at the moment.
Big fan.
Thank you so much.
Thoroughly enjoying the journey.
Appreciate it. And while I've dropped about 6 kilos so far, and I feel like I'm thank you so much. I feel like I'm at a point where I need to readjust and make some slight changes. Feeling a little bit stagnant at the moment. However, I'm not super fussed about it because the shifts in behavior around being conscious of daily activity, how much water I'm consuming, how much sleep I'm getting each night, the foods that I'm consuming, I feel amazing. And even just this morning, I've had 2 people come up to me and say, mate, you're looking unreal. And within myself,
and that's not, none of those people were me yet, and I tell you every day.
Yeah, you do, yeah. But it's like those. I already define the outcome of what I'm trying to do as success because, once again, of those behavioral shifts.
Yeah, right? I've even seen in terms of behavioral shifts, or the food you've been eating every single day. You've got your lunch prepared. It comes in. It's beautiful Tupperware, by the way. It's very good glass Tupperware. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
glass Tupperware only.
Yeah, it's great. And watching you go through, and now what I love about it though is you're practicing what you preach. I'm a big fan of that, and you're doing these with your clients, but then you're doing it with the staff too, which is really cool. And I've even seen Ebony, she's one of our staff members as well. Seeing her start improving her steps and getting her sessions up too.
So good to see.
So it's now branching off to everyone else, which is great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that comes down to, and I know we're obviously all big fans of Chapo, but at the start of every year, Chapo will pick 1 or 2 words, and they're his themes for the year. And I was inspired by that and picked a few words myself this year.
Yeah.
And it was leadership, process, and relentless. So it was relentless, meaning just consistently keep showing up and doing the little things. Leadership, and as you alluded to, practicing what I preach with not only our clients but our staff as well. And then just process, like sticking to the process and not getting deterred when things might not go as you expected.
Yeah.
Right?
And that probably alludes us towards the business side of things. And before I go down that rabbit hole, you just said you have the 3 words and Chapo has the 1 or 2 words.
Yeah.
My saying for this year is the saying that I've stolen from you. And you know what it is?
Yeah. Minimal effective dose.
That's the one. So that's my whole thing for my whole year. It's just to all right, I've got to simplify things so it's minimal effective dose. And that comes down to my systems. That comes down to my processes. That comes down to all those different things. But that's a really cool that we've all kind of have that same focus this year in terms of having something there, and we're all doing something there.
I think it kind of comes down to just the mentality of high performance. And, there's, I guess, some people out there that don't consider themselves high performers. I know that being in this team here, and particularly the people in this room, we do consider ourselves high performers and have high expectations, but you don't necessarily have to be a business leader or, in any position of authority to have a mentality of high performance. I think you can want more from yourself without being in a position of authority or leadership.
Well, it's got to start somewhere, doesn't it, D-Wags? I think if you start putting those expectations on yourself and holding yourself to a higher standard, it's inevitable that you're going to end up in a higher role.
Yeah.
Now, on the business side of thing, when it comes to results, this is where I think a lot of businesses get it wrong is they expect to have more wins and losses. It's not true.
No.
You have way more losses than you have wins. And I think about it when straight away, for some reason, I think of a player like James Maloney, right? Yeah. You guys know that we're big rugby league fans here.
Yeah.
He could make 17 different mistakes. He could throw the intercept that just caused a try, and then go behind the try line and spray his teammates for the 7 things that they did wrong, then go out there and throw that cutout ball again. But this time we'd hit it. It's having, as a business owner, but a person in a leadership role, being able to make mistakes, but then still have the courage to go again and then just keep staying the course and turning up consistently. I think that's where a lot of people, they get it wrong in terms of business. They have a few failures and they see that as their result. Hey, that's just one step closer to the win. Because every loss you have is getting you closer to the next win if you keep going. It's only a failure if you stop.
100%. All you've done in that, I guess, we'll call it loss in inverted commas or failure in inverted commas, is all you've done is you've just figured out one more way that is not the way to go.
Yeah. You don't lose, you learn.
I think Jimmy Maloney, speaking of him, he has a saying which pretty much highlights exactly what you were just saying. You might make 5-6 mistakes and then you keep turning up and, try and execute maybe the same play just with a slight variation on it. But his mentality was just flush it.
Yeah.
Something happens, you flush it and you just move on.
Yeah. It's the best way to approach business too, because in this day and age, because of social media, everyone sees the highlight reels. So everyone compares themselves to those highlight reels, but they're not seeing all the things that go on in the background that failed again. And there's hundreds of things that we do a year that we don't get wrong.
Yeah.
But there's 3 or 4 things that we absolutely fucking nail.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just a part of life. But we are willing to make the mistakes, try, and then go again. And we don't focus on the ratio of how many losses in terms of the results, right?
Yeah.
When you're sitting and looking at your business, that didn't work. If I looked at all those things that didn't work and then looked at the things that won, I'd be devastated.
Yeah, 100%.
But you just don't focus on that metric. You just focus on, all right, it's every time you do this, it's get me a step closer towards X goal.
Yeah. Immediately thinking about business, I reflect back on the fact that, I also owned a gym for a number of years, and you and I, 1 out. You and I were, I guess, I won't say competitors, but like we had 2 gyms and they were 500 meters away from each other. And I think about the fact that talking about losses for the last couple of years, I felt like it was just like constant loss after loss after loss. But what I realized was that it was the lack of systems I had in place in order for me to fall back into when something didn't go right. Yeah. If something didn't go right, it was like Mayday. And it was like, okay, I'm going to just throw this at the wall and hope it sticks. And if that didn't stick, I'd throw something else at the wall and hope it sticks there. Whereas I walk into Reborn, I think I've been here for a little over 12 months now, and the amount of systematic process that is in place for us to fall back into, if something didn't work, that's okay. We just fall back into our system and we're consistent with it, which is, I guess, what brings me to my next question is, regardless of whether you're in business or in a fat loss journey or whatever outcome you're working towards, what are the key things that you think drive results or drive success?
It's number one thing is consistency. That's it. It's just consistency. Like I truly believe that, like, I'm not the smartest person in any room. I'm not the person that's got the most amount of resilience. I'm not the person that's got all these degrees. But what I do have is just consistency. I just turn up every single day. And whether it be big or small tasks, I'm always working towards the same thing. My eyes are on the prize, and I just stay the course all the way through. So consistency, that coupled with like my structure and my routine, I think those are the 2 things that are best going to serve you in terms of getting results.
Yeah. There's a little saying I try and keep in my back pocket every now and then. It's consistency, intensity, and application. And I try and think to myself, like, in any endeavor that I pursue, trying to be consistent, trying to apply myself with the correct intensity, whether it's in an actual training session, whether it's a task that I've, put myself to, like, for example, building out these personal training programs like R35 that we have going at the moment, really applying myself to it with the right intensity. When I say intensity in the business sense, it's recognizing that you can't go full steam for days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks on end. You need to allow yourself time to take a breather, step back, and then step back in when you're ready to actually go hard again.
Yeah, that's probably one of my downfalls is like I try to rev it too high too often, but then also having that awareness as well. And one more thing to probably go with my third thing of like results, it's to surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
So you were just talking about like R35 and the things that you and I have been able to create over the last 4 or 5 weeks. You in your 1 out business, when it was just you taking tough carry after tough carry off the back fence, and then taking play 2 as well. That's tough stuff. But
just getting absolutely rolled every tackle.
Yeah. We're able to bounce off each other. Like, we're creating systems and going, oh, why did that system not work? We're able to have those conversations with each other so that, like, we can fix it together, and it's just not you on your own. So my third thing will be like surrounding yourself with the right people as well.
Yeah, 100%.
That's super important.
Yeah, it's that supportive environment, whether it be friends, colleagues, family, partner.
It's very hard if you got like the 5 closest people around you and they're not high performance and you want to be a high performer.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to work out.
I guess that makes me ask the question of like identity, right? So you identify as a high performer.
Yep.
What if we got people out there who do identify as high performers, but they are in that position where they're surrounded by people who may not have as higher standards? Doesn't mean that they don't have great relationships with them.
Yeah.
But they might not have as high standards as, someone that considers themselves a high performer, and they find themselves getting sort of pulled away from staying the course, or pulled off course, I should say. What kind of mindset do you think needs to be applied to that scenario?
All right, I'm going to go to one of my favorite sayings. So if you look around at your circle of friends and you're not inspired by those friends in that group, you don't have a circle of friends. You got a cage. Now, you always want to have a level of people that you look up to within your circle. And then there's the level of people that are on your same page. And then you also want to be helping some people around you. But you have to have those people, those first people that I talked about, that inspire you in your group. If you don't have them in your group, then you're never going to level up. So my advice would be find those people, surround yourself with them, surround yourself with those types of people. And how you do that is you just start the conversations. Just start the conversation. So many people are too afraid to just ask questions because they don't want to seem stupid, or they don't want to seem like they don't understand what they're talking about. But like, honestly, I've spoken to hundreds of business owners, and every single business owner feels the exact same way. We're just trying to figure it out. No one knows exactly what to do. There's no exact blueprint. Yes, there's some structures and systems that you can follow, but no one knows exactly what to do. So we're all in the same boat. Just go and ask the questions. And once you start asking questions, then you will be able to then see like the type of people that you want to be around. And your conversations will start changing as well. Like your conversations will go from, hey, what'd you do on the weekend? What have you been up to say, hey, I've got this new business idea. What do you think?
Yeah.
They're the fun. Like the conversations that we're having right now on this podcast is conversations me and Wags have, daily,
multiple times a day.
And that's just happened, by chance. But I believe like you attract what you are as well. So if you believe you're a high performer, you will eventually attract high performers around you as well.
100%. And then what about, I guess and I don't want to use I guess, I don't really have another word to use besides excuses or reasons why someone feels like I can't get results because of X.
Oof, I'm going to smack you between the eyes.
Hit me.
So if you're one of those people that says, I can't do this because of X, or, there's this that's coming up. The reality is whatever the goal is that you want to achieve, it's just not a priority to you. Because if it's a priority, you make it happen. There is no excuses. If you really want it, you'll make it happen. We've all got the same amount of hours in a day. And it takes sacrifice, and it takes, you showing up for yourself. But at the end of the day, if you don't prioritize whatever it is that you want to achieve, then you're never going to achieve it. So those excuses that everyone makes, it's basically just saying this is not a high enough priority.
Yeah. What about, let's flip that a little bit, and instead of excuses, what about just someone's mentality that they potentially have grown up with for whatever reason? And the reason I'm bringing this up is I had a really interesting conversation in the strength room this morning, which it got me super, super curious as to why this person had this mentality. I asked this person if they'd ever done a marathon or a half marathon, and their response was no. I have zero desire to do that. I feel like if I ever did it, I'd fuck up my breathing, or I'd, roll my ankle. I was like, so that's an expectation of failure immediately before you've even tried. And again, I guess going back to what you're saying around surrounding yourself with the right environment, I felt like I wanted to say, do you think it's the expectation of failure just because you've actually never had anyone show unwavering belief in you?
That's what I thought as well.
I think that is 100% one of the biggest things, is actually having, it only needs to be one person that is showing unwavering belief that you're capable for you to have enough fire to actually go after something.
Yeah. I think like you mentioned, the only way someone like that with that kind of mindset can then start achieving, those kind of results is they've got to surround themselves with people that are doing it themselves. And then like, it's almost like the proof is in the pudding. If you watch someone else do it, then it can be done. If you can see someone do it and you watch them go through the process and you'll be like, I can do that. There's those people, they self-sabotage before they even get started. They come up with these theories of why they can't or shouldn't do it before they even start, and they talk themselves out of it. But going back to what you're saying is, if you surround yourself with people that are achieving these goals, and then that's when they're going to be more than likely to start, having a better mindset as well, because if you can see it, you can believe it, you can do it.
Yeah, 100%. It brings me back to, I saw this thing a number of years ago now. It was a diagram on a page, and it had two horizontal lines. The top one had 100 crosses on it, and each cross represented a failure. And then it might have had like 10 ticks on it. So there might have been 110 experiences from, let's say age of 20 to age of 50. And then there was a line identical below it, and it had 5 crosses on it and 5 ticks on it. And the question at the bottom was, which of these two people's experiences would be defined as more successful?
Yeah. Fail fast.
Yeah.
Fail fast. Like fail fast, get over it, flush it, like you said, and then move on. The top person that
100%.
had 110.
Yeah.
Because they're the one, they're going to have 110 different experiences.
Yeah.
Like their knowledge is going to be, it was 10.
So it's like essentially like a 10% success rate on the top line, and it was a 50%
right?
success rate on the bottom line.
Good maths.
And I think growth mindset versus fixed mindset people, growth mindset people would look at the top line and go 100%, 10% strike rate over 110 experiences, absolutely more successful. Whereas I feel like fixed mindset would more look at 50% success rate over the same duration of time, and they've been able to be successful half the time. Like, yeah, I don't think either perspective is right or wrong. I think it just comes down to the person that's actually looking at it and how they like to live their life. And I think, as you were saying before, for me, I guess reflecting back on, what we were talking about with that conversation I had this morning, I've always had the mentality that like, I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try anyway. And if I fail, then that's okay. It's like, what have I got to lose?
Yeah.
If I succeed, amazing.
100%. I have this saying that I have for myself, but I also have it for my kids as well. I'd rather try and fail than fail to try at all.
Yeah, 100%.
Just give it a crack.
Just give it a go.
Give it a go.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, give it a go. Like, try everything. Do everything you can. And I think on that growth mindset versus fixed mindset, that's a podcast in itself.
Yeah,
that's
100%.
probably something you and I should sit down and actually really, really flesh out, because that could change a lot of people's mindset if they're in that fixed mindset.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Mate, one last question before we wrap this one up. What do you think the top 3 things are that high performers do differently?
Okay. So first one, they have clear goals, right? They have a clear expectation of what their goals look like, right? And that's their style. Now, they don't necessarily have to have, everything mapped out, but
don't worry about the how.
No, don't worry about the how. Don't worry about the how. Just what you want to achieve. They need to have that. Then the next thing that my number 2 would be like their structure and their routine, right? Your structure and your routine is what's going to develop the consistency and discipline that is going to help anyone achieve any goal, right? If you got the goal, you've got your set structure and your routine, and you're going to hit these X amount of tasks every single week consistently, eventually you're going to hit your goal. And the third thing, which we mentioned before, is surrounding yourself with the right people, right? You know well and truly yourself, it's very difficult, almost impossible to achieve anything great when you're one out. And by one out, guys, I mean being by yourself. Or if you ever watch rugby league where someone just takes a carry by themselves and just gets hammered.
No support.
That was D-Wags. He was a one-man team. You need to have the right people around you. Now, it's a very cliche saying, but it's as true as ever, is that you are the product of the 5 closest people around you. Yeah. And you'll notice even me and D-Wags hanging around each other for the last 12 months. We even say the same stuff now. There's things that, it's good stuff, that I say all the time. That's from D-Wags. Minimal effective dose. That's D-Wags. All these things that I'm starting to implement myself are because of the person that I hang around with, 90% of the day as well. So you want to make sure if the person you spend or the people you spend the most amount of time with are inspiring you. Like I said with that saying, if you look around your circle of friends and you don't see people that inspire you, you don't have a circle, you've got a cage.
Yeah, 100%.
They're my 3.
Love that chat, bro.
That was hectic.
Unreal.
Well done. All right, till next week. Peace.
See ya.